Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our Equilist Analytics subscribers from the Philippines and from around the world. Today is Friday, March 8, 2019. Welcome to our daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. My name is JC De Guzman. How was your trading day today, by the way? Okay, so I have 10 new stocks for you. I have this new video where I'm going to talk about 10 new stocks, and these are the stocks that we're going to talk about today. For the top 5 gainers, I'll be talking about PNB, IMI, TUGS, VUL, and MRSGI. Now for the top 5 losers, I'll be discussing SM, BHI, CHP, PXP, and PIP. Okay, for the new subscribers, please take note that these daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis are uploaded inside the trade setups for short-term trading tab, this one that I'm clicking right now. Okay, so always check this tab for new videos every day after the trading day. So let's talk about PNB first. PNB closed today at 59.90. Did it close above the resistance of 59.66 or 59.70? Yes, it did. Okay. For those, I'm sure you'd like to know how did I do that? How did I maximize or zoom the chart in so fast? You'll just have to double click, okay? Double left click, okay? Double left click, and then if you'd like to go to the previous mode, double left click again. Okay, so there you go. So PNB rose above its previous resistance at 59.70 and it closed at 59.90. Therefore, that previous resistance is now acting as its immediate support. Previous support was at 53.30. Okay. Now, today's price is already moving above the 10-day simple moving average. And as far as the alignment is concerned, I like what I'm seeing. 10 SMA is above the 50 SMA, and the 50 is above the 200-day SMA. So, meaning to say PNB is bullish both in the short-term and long-term scales. Today's green candlestick was supported with a significant volume. It's a bullish volume. It's above the 10-day volume average. For those who are new for those who have just heard me talk about the correlation between the price and the volume, please know that when it's a green candlestick, and if we see a volume bar above the 10-day volume average, then for me, it means that the ascent in price will probably continue by the next trading day or by next week. Okay, so that's what I see on PNB right now. Now, when it comes to the net foreign trade for the entire for year-to-date 2019, PNB is in a net foreign selling mode. MACD, on the other hand, is already above the signal line, so that supports my bullish interpretation on the alignment of the SMAs and the position of the price above the 10 SMA. PNB has, on the other hand, a moderate risk level because of its volatility score of 68%. So if this kind of volume will continue, we might see PNB inching further higher than 59.90 towards the the immediate resistance at 65 pesos per share. Okay. Now let's talk about the volume review for PNB. So which price got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades today? Reminder, PNB closed at 59.90 and the price range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is from 59.90 towards 60. Okay, 59.90 to 60. Okay, this is the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Does PNB have some dividend announcements? Let's check on Edge. Let's check on edge.pse.com.ph, and then we click on the dividends and rights tab, and it shows here that 0. PNB has no dividend announcements yet. Okay, so my overall sentiment for PNB is bullish. Um, it is bullish. However, I have a however for you. Okay, make sure that you watch out for volume on Monday, because if on Monday, especially within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading, if volume isn't, if you don't feel any rush or any interest or any demand to buy the stock higher than 59.90 or 60, then it's possible for uh, profit taking to dominate the sentiment on Monday. So in other words, despite my bullish sentiment, still watch out for volume on Monday, especially within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading. If volume is high, then there's a chance for the ascent in price to continue. Otherwise, if it's a low volume, then 59.90 or 60 pesos per share might be a profit-taking area for PNB traders. Now, if you have a position on PNB and your average price is lower than 59.9, congratulations. Just make sure that you're on top of your trailing stop loss. Now, if your average price is higher than 59.90, that means you bought your PNB sometime in July 2017. Okay, so if that's the case, please recalculate your trailing stop loss and calculate it from the current price at 59.90. We have some video materials and some discussions in our private clients forum where I talked about trailing stop loss in detail. Okay, so there's a video inside the video tab. It's inside the video tab on your dashboard on your Equilist Analytics account. Let me show that to you. Here, video tab. There's a trailing stop loss here. Trailing, not in the video, but in the newsletters. Okay, volume 1, number 13. It was written in the vernacular. And we also have some discussions in our private clients forum regarding trailing stop loss. So you can use the forum search feature. You type in trailing stop loss and then hit search and read those previous conversations there to know more about the calculation of a trailing stop loss. Now going back, if you don't have PNB yet, should you chase the price now that it's near 60 pesos per share already? If you are a relatively new trader and you have a low risk profile, of course, that should be your risk profile in the beginning as you start. I would suggest that buy on breakout, or you do a test buy. Okay, you just do a test buy if you're really into it. However, okay, another however here, you need to consider the fact that PNB already has a moderate risk level. It's no longer a low risk stock. Okay, so consider again the probability that I mentioned a while back. If next week if it will show a weak start on Monday, then there's a probability for the traders to translate the 60 area as a profit taking level. Okay, so you have to really monitor the price closely. If there's a strong demand, you do a test buy. If it's a topsy-turvy start, for PNB on Monday in the first 15 to 30 minutes, might as well stay on the sideline and then enjoy monitoring the stock for now. Study its behavior so that you will know later on how to play PNB. Okay, so that's my overall sentiment and trade setups for PNB. Now let's talk about the next stock. We have IMI. Does IMI have any dividend announcement? We will find out. For now, let's take a look at the chart. IMI closed today at 13.06. It managed to close a little bit above its 10-day simple moving average. However, the longer term moving average, which is the 200-day SMA, is spotted in a position that we don't that we don't prefer. Okay, we like the 200-day SMA to move below the 50-day simple moving average, which is the red line. Meaning to say, IMI must break out, I think, at least above the resistance at 13.66, so we can see our preferred alignment for these moving averages. But for IMI to break out above 13.66, it must continue registering volume of this size, if not bigger than today's volume. Today's volume is obviously above its 10-day volume average. Immediate support is at 11.69. Notice that this area here, I think it's about 12.74. This is the confluence or intersection between the 10 SMA and 200-day SMA. What does it mean for you then? How will you use that information to form a trading decision? For me, IMI must really register a price closer to 13.66. It must increase the gap from or above this intersection at around 12.70 or 12.74 to increase the possibility, or to increase the power of the bulls to go higher than the resistance at 13.66. So at this level, the presence of the bears is still felt, okay, around this level. That's why if you have IMI, you would want to see the price moving closer to 13.66 and not just move sideways, but between the immediate support and resistance. Okay. Uh, the year-to-date net foreign trade, let's check. Okay, it's IMI is on a net foreign selling. Okay, net foreign selling mode, 2019 year-to-date. MACD is still bearish despite the ascent of the price above the 10-day simple moving average, meaning to say there's no confirmed buy signal yet. The reason why I have the MACD combined with my 10 SMA strategy is that I am using the position of 10 SMA as a confirmation that the stock is really trading in a bullish direction, at least in the short term perspective. Okay, so it's for confirmation purposes. Now, IMI has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 37%. If and only if the price breaks out above 13.66, the resistance at 15.60 will come into life. Now, if IMI traders decide to realize some profits near the resistance at 13.66, and if the price will bounce away from 13.66 and it continues to its downward direction even below 11.70 or 11.69, then the next support that you need to watch out for will be at 9.83, which is the intersection between the 10 SMA and the 50 SMA, this green and red lines here. Okay, now let's take a look at the volume review for IMI. Which volume or range got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades? Take note that IMI closed at 13.06 today, and the range that you need to watch out for is between 13 and 13.10. Yes, that's the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Again, that's 13 pesos to 13 pesos and 10 centavos. Today's net foreign trade is a net foreign selling worth 3.3 million. It's an insignificant amount, okay? That's why I'm not going to use the net foreign trade to to influence my overall sentiment on IMI. And speaking of which, my overall sentiment for IMI is bullish. Okay, it's bullish. If if you are not accustomed to, or if you choose not to use my trailing stop loss strategy when it comes to selling a stock, then you may want to consider selling a few tranches once the price hits 13.66, which is the immediate resistance here. Because there's a possibility again for the price to just bounce away, just like what it did last in the first week of February. It challenged the resistance at 13.66 last February 6, but then it bounced away. Okay, so that's my overall sentiment and trade setup, recommended trade setup for IMI. If you have a position on IMI and your average price is higher than the price at 13.06, then I would suggest you respect your trailing stop loss. Okay, you respect your trailing stop loss. Now, if your average price is lower than the current price, then congratulations again. Meaning to say you were able to buy IMI below, maybe below 11.70 or any price lower than 13 pesos per share. If you don't have any position on IMI yet, my suggestion is that if you are a new trader, my suggestion is that you try to buy on pullbacks near the support, preferably. Okay, near 11.70 here. If you are a newbie trader, but if you are an experienced trader, then you may want to wait for a confirmed buy signal. Wait for MACD to cross above the signal line, and then you do a test buy. As you see the strong demand, if volume continues to pick up as trading happens and as trading days happen, then you may want then to top up on your position so that you can ride on to the momentum, bullish momentum of IMI. Again, that's a conditional statement. What's the condition? If the volume continues to go up together with the price. Okay, so you've heard my overall sentiment and trade setups for IMI. Let's take a look if it has any dividend announcement before we move on to the next stock. Okay, IMI does not have any dividend announcement yet for 2019. Now let's talk about TUGS or TUGS as we call it. So Harbor Star Shipping Services or TUGS. Later on we will find out if it has any dividend announcement, but for now let's discuss what I see on the chart of TUGS. TUGS closed at 2.98 today. Immediate support is at 2.74. Immediate resistance is at 3.56. Today's closing price is moving above the 10-day simple moving average. However, even though it has recovered already from its bearish position in a short-term scale, I still don't like the alignment of these moving averages. It's still in a bearish. Overall, TUGS is still not out of the woods, so to speak. But there's hope because today's ascent in price came with an outstanding volume which is above the 10-day moving average. I think it's more than 200% of its 10-day volume average. So there's hope, especially if we see some continuity on the registration of volume of this size. But of course, we want the candlestick to stay in a green mode. We don't want an increasing volume with a descending price. Otherwise, when that happens, the support at 2.74 might just be retested. Okay, resistance is at 3.56. Now MACD wise, MACD is already moving above the signal line, so maybe that's but that's certainly a buy confirmation. It's a buy signal for TUGS, okay, an entry signal. So you may want to do a test buy, especially if you already have some experiences when it comes to short-term trading. Now, moreover, TUGS has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 44% right here. Okay. Now on 2019 year to date, 2019 year to date, let's see 2019. Okay, TUGS is on a net foreign selling, estimatedly on a net foreign selling status for 2019 year to date. Let's find out now which range or price point got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Today, remember, TUGS closed at 2.98, and the price that got the biggest volume of about 57% is 2.85. But I'm quite sure that a cross trade happened at 2.85. How did I say so? Take a look at the number of trades. There were only 4 trades that happened at 2.85. So if we're going to factor out, or if we will not consider the cross trade, definitely 2.85 is not the price that got the biggest volume. Okay, I would then say that the price, so ignore the 50% volume that was registered at 2.85. Instead, I would like to focus on 2.94 all the way to 2.98. Okay, because of the number of trades, and I think this is an organic. These are the organic numbers. No? Organic numbers. 2.94 to 2.98. So monitor that range next week if you are interested to trade the name. So for today, TUGS closed with an insignificant amount of net foreign selling worth 400,000 pesos. Okay. Now let's take a look at the dividend, if it has any dividend announcement before I talk about my overall sentiment and trade setups. Okay, so TUGS, does it have any dividend announcement? No, no dividend announcements yet for TUGS. Now, my overall sentiment for TUGS is bullish. Okay, I'm bullish on TUGS because of the appearance of the confirmed buy signal coming from 10 SMA and the MACD. If you have had a position with TUGS and your average price is below or is higher than 2.98, please be careful in trading TUGS. Do not do not maintain your position in a stock that does not reflect your risk tolerance. Meaning to say, if you can only afford to lose 10% of your trade capital, then do not hold a stock that has already given you a paper loss more than your percentage of risk tolerance. Okay? That's an evergreen advice actually. Now, if you don't have a position on TUGS yet, my recommendation is just do a test buy. Okay, do a test buy near that range or within that range that I gave you. What was that again? 2.94 all the way to 2.98. Okay? Try to monitor the price on Monday because there's still a possibility for TUGS to begin with a slow start. Maybe below 2.90, we don't know. So do not etch on the stone. Do not etch these numbers on a stone, so to say. You still have to monitor. Okay, so I'm just giving you some probabilities based on the numbers that we are seeing right now. Take note, what happened in the past does not guarantee that it will happen again in the future. Okay? Past performance does not guarantee the exact same results in the future. Okay? So that's it for TUGS. Now let's move on to the fourth top gainer for today, and we have VUL, Vulcan Industrial. Let's find out first if it has some dividend announcements before we talk about a chart of VUL. Let's just try to change the pattern of how I discuss this daily top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. Okay, let's find out. VUL 0. It has no dividend announcements yet for 2019. Okay, let's talk about the chart of VUL. So VUL closed today at 1.37. Oops, it managed to respect its support at 1.31, or let's say 1.30. Okay, so there's still hope for those of you who have been trading VUL maybe since 2018. Okay, there's still hope for you since it respected the support at 1.30. Otherwise, let's take a look at the volume. Okay, today's volume is more than its 10-day volume average, so that's good. If we keep on seeing a green candlestick, a green price, and then a volume that's above the 10-day moving average, then there will be more hope for the VUL holders for you to see the price at least to go above the intersection between the 200-day and 50-day SMA, somewhere above 1.60. Okay, but only if we see a green candlestick and a volume bar above the 10-day volume average. Okay, MACD already crossed above the signal line, so I think this is a confirmed. Yeah, it's a confirmed buy signal for consideration. And VOL has a moderate risk level because of its volatility score of 56%. Okay, do take note of these numbers. If and when VUL holders um, consider doing the sell on strength strategy, quote unquote sell on strength strategy, they might, we might see VOL, of course, below 1.30, but the next support that we need to watch out for then should be 0.79. Okay, 0.79. VOL must really have a very big or a significant volume for it to break out above its resistance levels here, 1.91, then 2.35. These are quite strong resistance levels based on what I see on the chart and how VOL performed in the past, especially in 2018. Okay, now for the net foreign trade, year to date, it's on a net foreign sale. Estimatedly, let's see, let's start here. Okay, estimatedly, VOL is on a net foreign selling status. Okay, estimatedly for 2019, year to date. Okay, now, let's take a look at the volume review of VOL. Reminder, VOL closed at 1.37, and the range rather, that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is between 1.35 all the way to 1.39. Again, 1.35 to 1.39. And today, VUL got a net foreign trade of insignificant amount again, 400,000 pesos worth of net foreign buying. My overall sentiment on VUL is neutral to bullish. Okay, I'm neutral to bullish despite the met criteria for the 10 SMA and MACD because it's still too close to its immediate support. So I am neutral to bullish. Still stay cautious on your trade decisions on VUL. My recommended trade setup is just to do a test buy. As soon as you start seeing some flimsiness on the volume, then you reassess the situation. Maybe it's time for you to get out early, alive, okay, on VUL. But as the volume increase together with the ascent in price, then it would be logical to top up on your position. Okay, so that's it for VUL. Now let's talk about MRSGI, Mrs. G. Okay, does it have dividend announcements? Metro Retail? Let's find out. Okay, Metro Retail Stores Group has no dividend announcement yet for 2019. Now, today MRSGI closed at 3.01, super close to its resistance at 3.11. Support is at 2.53. Next resistance is at 3.60, this one. Next support below 2.53 is at 1.92. The price is already moving above the 10-day simple moving average. It managed to close higher than the 10 SMA today after trading below the 10 SMA for how many days? Maybe for more than a week. Okay? And today's green candlestick is supported with a volume above its 10-day volume average. But I would say if you want to see MRSGI strongly closing above the resistance at 3.11, I would prefer seeing a volume that's bigger than today's volume. Okay, still, it should be above the 10-day volume average, but preferably bigger than today's volume. Okay, just to increase the chance of, just to increase the force of the bulls to pierce through the resistance at 3.11. MACD is still below the signal line, remember. So meaning to say, I think the MACD line will start touching the signal line as soon as the price crosses above the resistance at 3.11. Okay. How about the net foreign trade for year to date? It's on a net foreign buying, obviously. Okay, net foreign buying. MRSGI, but let's take a look at the size of these daily net foreign buying bars. It's still insignificant. They just look so towering on the picture, but when you check on the value, it's just about 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. It's still considerably insignificant if you are to compare the net foreign trade with blue chip stocks. Okay. So MRSGI has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 25%. Okay. Now let's take a look at the volume review. MRSGI again closed today at 3.01, and the range that got the biggest volume is between 2.92 all the way to 2.93. Okay, 2.92 and 2.93, and then there's another one here, 3.01 and 3.02. Today it closed with a net foreign buying worth 57,000 pesos. My overall sentiment on MRSGI is neutral to bullish. Why neutral? Why is there a reservation in my mind? Simply because this resistance at 3.11, there's a part of me that says it might bounce away from 3.11, just like what happened last August last year. The price was inching closer to 3.11 only to see it bouncing away and bouncing away from that level and testing the support at 1.92. So that might happen again. So this is the benefit of sticking with your trailing stop loss, or if you are the kind of trader who takes profit when the price hits a certain resistance level, then you may want to consider selling your position at 3.11 or stick with your trailing stop loss. Okay, so neutral to bullish. If you don't have a position on MRSGI yet, I would suggest that you wait for a confirmed buy signal. Wait for MACD to kiss the signal line to the northward direction. Wait for a bullish divergence between MACD and the signal line. Okay? So that's it for the top 5 gainers for today. Now let's move on to the first top loser for Friday. So we have SM. Now let's take a look at let's check if it has some dividend announcements. Okay, so SM has no new dividend announcement yet for 2019. Now, today SM closed at 940 pesos per share. Immediate support is at 916. Immediate resistance is at 115. Today's red candlestick was supported with an anemic, although it's red, I would say it's anemic, or let's just say flimsy or low volume, because because it is below the 10-day volume average of SM. So here's the thing. Whenever I see a red candlestick and then volume is relatively low, for me, I kind of think that the traders or investors of that particular stock did not see anything so alarming that they did not join the selling sentiment. They did not do panic selling for that particular stock. So what does this mean for you as an investor or as a trader of SM? There's a chance for SM to respect the support at 916 because there's no strong appetite to do panic selling. If there was a panic selling here, then we should see a towering volume again. Okay? In other words, this descent in price is not sustainable, at least based on my interpretation in relation to its volume. Okay? Um, Now, but if the market will prove me wrong, let's say if the market proves me wrong and the price continues its direction instead of bouncing away from 916, then the next support that you need to watch out for is at 850. Okay? SM has a lot of work to do to break out above 1,015 pesos per share. We want to see a we want to see the price staying above 940 because this is a midterm support as well. Take a look at the previous charts. They also respected this level. This how much is this? Let's see. 940. So 940 was tested last February 28. It was tested again on the first day of March. It was tested again on March 4, another one on March 5, and then today. So if and when the price closes below 940, then I think it's really on its way to test the support at 915 then. Okay? And then that's the time that we need to position at 850. But for as long as the price is above 940 and 915, there's still a possibility for the price to bounce away from that support level. Now, when it comes to the net foreign trade, year to date, I think, based on my estimate, I think SM is on a more or less net foreign selling. Okay, more or less net foreign selling mode for SM. MACD is still on a bearish trend. See this one here. Okay, MACD. So MACD is supporting the bears in this case. SM has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 32%. Okay, now let's take a look at today's net foreign trade. SM got, oh, it's just an insignificant, oh, it's just, this is MRSGI still. Let's take a look at the net foreign trade is actually a net foreign selling worth 52 million pesos. Again, net foreign selling. The range that got the biggest volume today is actually a 940 per share. Okay, so 940 per share got 44% of today's volume with 91 trades. Again, SM closed today at 940. Okay, since the price point that got the biggest volume and yeah, the biggest volume for today, then I would say we really have to monitor um, SM below 940 or at least close to 900 based on what I see on the price volume today. Okay, there's a big possibility for the price to challenge the support at 915 or maybe up until 900. Okay, so we have to be risk averse in this particular case on SM. Unless, okay, unless the sentiment will reverse at 940 and if the SM investors think that the price at 940 is already a no-brainer, it's already too cheap, too inexpensive to be ignored, then it may just bounce away and move to the northward direction again. But we all have to be in a wait and see mode. Okay, we're just speculating now. It's a data-driven speculations, so to say. So anyway, my overall sentiment for SM is still bearish. And if you don't have a position yet on SM, then that's good. Try to monitor the wait near 915 all the way to 900. Okay, so that's my recommended trade setup for you for SM. Now, if you have SM and you are into long-term investing, make sure that you know your buy case. What are the fundamental reasons why you bought SM in the first place and why you still have it? For as long as your fundamental reasons or whatever buy case you have, for as long as your buy case is intact, then you should be fine. It's going to be a big problem if you don't know what buy case I am talking about. Okay, that's the problem then. If you don't know what buy case is Mr. De Guzman talking about. Okay, so we have a lot of conversations about buy case in our private clients forum. So just use the search filter, type in buy space case, and then hit enter. Then read all of those topics and threads where we were discussing about buy case. All right. So that's it for SM. Now let's talk about the next loser. We have BHI. Okay, so Boulevard Holdings Incorporated. Let's find out first if it has a dividend announcement for 2019. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, no dividend announcements yet for 2019. Okay, here, let's take a look at the chart of BHI. BHI closed today at 0.071. Immediate support is at 0.065. Immediate resistance is at 0.08. Okay, today's red candlestick came with a strong bearish volume. So, I think you already know, you've read my mind here. As early as now, I am bearish. That's my overall sentiment on BHI because of this towering volume supporting the red candlestick today. So there's a possibility for the price to inch closer to 0.065. Okay, that's it. And there's also a midterm support here just in case the price breaks below 0.065. There's a midterm support level here around 0.06. That's the intersection of these three moving averages. You see this? Red, green, blue, right? And if it breaks below 0.06, then wait near 0.05. Okay? So that's the hierarchy of the support levels that you need to watch out for. So I did not plot 0.06, but let me plot that one. There you go. Okay? Now, for the year-to-date net foreign trade, is it even worth mentioning? Because the foreign investors are not really into this stock. But for what it's worth, it's on a net foreign selling state for 2019 year-to-date. Okay? MACD of BHI is still above the signal line, but if this bearish volume, which is above its 10-day volume average, continues, then we might see the MACD line bowing down, preparing to move cross below the signal line once again. Okay, BHI has a high risk level because of its volatility score of 92%. Let's find out if which particular price got the biggest volume. Remember, it closes today at 0.071, and the range that got the biggest volume is between 0.071 all the way to 0.077. Okay, well actually it's should be 0.072 all the way to 0.074. And then there's another range which is 0.076 and 0.077. So those two ranges get the biggest volume and the highest number of trades today. Okay, there you go. So my overall sentiment, I already gave that to you. It's a bearish. If you don't have a position, that's good. I think you need to watch out for the support at 0.065. If you have a position on BHI, stick with your trailing stop loss, especially if you enter the position near near the historical bottom at 0.05. If you were able to catch that, especially this confirmed buy signal here that appeared last January 29, 2019, you should have profited by now. And I think if you apply the 10% risk tolerance on BHI and you managed to enter last January 29, I think okay, yesterday it closed at 0.74. Today, I think you should have already. Oh, not yet. If you apply 10%, I think you have profited already. Okay, you have profited already. And if you, in case you applied 5%, okay, let's make it 5%. I think you should have already sold your position if you applied 5% risk tolerance. Okay, so there you go for BHI. Now let's talk about the next one. We have CHP. I think I already talked about CHP in the previous videos. Let's check. Oh yes, I did. Today's the third time that I'm going to talk about CHP. Don't you like this top 5 gainers and top 5 losers videos? Uh, I've been given the opportunity to give you a follow-up update for those stocks that I already talked about in the past, right? I do hope you appreciate this what we do, this daily video for the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis. Now, let's check first. Does it have any dividend announcement? Cemex, CHP, zero dividend announcement for 2019 as of today, thus far. Okay, CHP closed today at 2.59. Immediate resistance is at 2.74. Immediate resistance is at 2.74. Immediate support is at 2.21. Today's volume is quite low. It's quite low. Okay, so there's a possibility for CHP to just continue moving sideways, maybe between 2.68 all the way to 2.5 next week, if and only if it will just maintain this kind of anemic volume. But if it starts to show a green candlestick and the volume starts to cross above the 10-day volume average, then that will increase the chance. We can say then that it just tried to take some rest perhaps. So if and when that happens, then we might see CHP breaking out above 2.74 to uh, to test if it can inch closer to 3.61. But until then, we need to watch out for the volume as well. Okay. As far as the alignment of the moving averages is concerned, we want I represent those who have CHP, by the way. Okay. If you have CHP, what you should see is the price moving higher than 2.74. One reason is that for the 10 SMA to come up higher, to move higher than the position of the 200-day SMA together with the 50-day SMA, what you want to see is this blue line below the red line. Okay, and that can only happen if the price will break out first above 2.74. I don't think the blue line will go below the red line as soon as the price goes at 2.75. The price should go higher than that. Okay, if you would like the longer term SMA to be below the shorter term SMAs. Okay, MACD is above the signal line. Despite that, my overall sentiment as early as now, I'm actually a neutral to bearish on CHP. I'm neutral to bearish. CHP has a moderate risk level because of its volatility score of 62%. For 2019 year to date, obviously it's on a net foreign selling. Okay, net foreign selling mode. Now let's find out, let's check the volume review. Today, again, CHP closed at 2.59, and this is the range that you need to watch out for because this range got the biggest volume. 2.59 all the way to 2.63. Since the range that got the biggest volume today is positioned at the lower half of today's trading or near the intraday low, then there's a high probability for us to see the price moving below or maybe close to 2.50 next week. Okay, so you need to watch that out. 2.50, there's a possibility, a strong possibility. I already gave you my overall sentiment, which is neutral to bearish. Now, if you still have a position on CHP and let's say you entered a position when it was below 2.21, by now you should have profited already. All you have to do is to respect your trailing stop loss. Do not do not base everything on prayer and hope. By the way, both are good, but if prayer and hope are the only things in your arsenal, then I think that's not a good idea at all. Okay? You can do better than that by sticking with your trailing stop loss. Now, if you don't have a position on CHP yet, then I would say you consider buying on support. But it doesn't mean when the price hits 2.21, it doesn't mean you should already buy blindly. You have to reassess the situation. You have to ask yourself, okay, now the price already hits 2.21. Can it go lower than this? Is there a possibility for it to go lower than this? If I were you, I would post a request in our private clients forum and ask me for my latest price volume distribution analysis, including the top 10 player sentiments. Okay? Ask for my updated analysis when that happens. So that's it for CHP. Now let's move on to PXP. I don't think I discussed PXP in the past. Oh yeah, today's the first time. So let's take a look if it has, let's check if it has some dividend announcements for 2019. Does it have? No, zero dividend announcement. Now let's take a look at the chart. PXP closed today at 14.80. Immediate support is at 13.60. Immediate resistance is at 16.20. The price is already moving below the 10 SMA, and the SMAs are in they're not aligned in our preferred alignment for this in this situation. It's kind of chaotic, I would say, when it comes to the alignment of the moving averages. This is not what we prefer to see, especially if you have PXP. But let's review the volume. Today's red candlestick came with a strong bearish volume because it's above the 10-day volume average. So if this continues, then we might see the price testing the midterm support near 14.40, which is in confluence with the 200-day SMA, this one. Okay? Now, if and when the price touches 14.4, and we still see a volume above its 10-day volume average, then we might see then the price that will just increase the probability of the price going down all the way to 13.6 if it breaks down below 14.4. Okay, and then it will retest another midterm support at 14. So 14.4 first, followed by 14. If it breaks down below 14, then just wait at 13.6 then. Okay? So there you go. MACD is still above the signal line, but if as soon as the price tests the midterm support at 14.4, I think MACD will then start to cross below the signal line. PXP has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 36%. Net foreign selling wise, year to date, it's on a net foreign selling status. Okay, PXP is on a net foreign selling status 2019 year to date. Now let's take a look at the volume review. Which range got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades? Let's check. So again, PXP closed today at 14.8, and the range that got the biggest volume. Before we talk about a range, let me talk about a specific price point. It's 15 pesos per share. It got 41% or 40% of today's volume with 140 trades, the highest. So monitor that, 15. But since the price is at 14, close at 14.8, I would rather advise you to monitor the price below 14.8. Anyway, 14.8 got 16% of today's volume with 65 trades. So instead of me advising you to, hey guys, monitor PXP on Monday at 15 pesos a piece, I would rather say monitor it below 14.8. But if PXP starts above 14.8 on Monday, then the 15 pesos per share, we might see it again as an intraday support or resistance. Okay, so that's how I interpret this. Today's net foreign trade is a net foreign selling worth not even mentioning. Okay, it's 500,000 pesos worth of net foreign selling. My overall sentiment for PXP is bearish. Okay, if you don't have a position on PXP, then wait for it to again test those levels that I mentioned a while back. 14.4, then 14, followed by 13.6. If you have a position on PXP, let's say you bought PXP above 16.20. Since we're talking about short-term trading here, you should have already captured losses by now. Unless you're going to justify why you're still holding your position, unless you will say, well, I have a 50% risk tolerance. I've never, for the past for more than a decade, I've never done that. I've never set more than, I've never set 50% of my capital in my for short-term trading purposes. I've never set a 50% risk tolerance in any of my short-term trades. So okay. Now, if you don't have, let's say you bought PXP. How about let's say you bought PXP way back 2018 when it hit 9.8 near that level. Oh, you're in good position. You just maintain. Actually, you should have already sold your position as well, because if you bought near 9.8 way back 2018, then you should have your trailing stop loss, let's say 10%. It was already hit way back November 2018 when it went down from its 2018 high of about near 19 pesos per share, and then it went down all the way to 14.66. You should have already realized your profits last year as well, November last year. So you should not have any position on PXP, so to say. Okay, that is if you are strictly following our strategy here at Equilist Analytics. Remember, 10 SMA and MACD, that combination. Okay, if you don't have a position, okay, I already gave you the answer. If you don't have a position yet, what you should do. Okay, just review the video if you didn't catch that. Now, for our last stock in the list, we have Pepsi, PIP. Okay, this is not Forex, by the way. Okay, so now let's take a look at, first, before we talk about the chart, let's see if it has some dividend announcements. It does not have any dividend announcement for 2019 yet. Okay, PIP or Pepsi closed at 1.36. There you go. You see the blue line there, green line here. Do I still need to say that Pepsi is bearish both on the long term and short term? Just by looking at this, you already know the answer. It has been in a downtrend. Oh my. Pepsi has enjoyed the downtrend movement since 2013. 2013 it was at about 6 point it was about it hit almost 6.5 if I'm not mistaken, and then now it's at 1.36. Later when I talk about trade setups, I'm not going to talk about what you should do if you still have a position, because I don't know. Do you think you should still hold your position if you, let's say, you bought on 2013? I don't think it's a no-brainer to think that you should have already released your position on Pepsi way back to 2014 or 2013 as well. Okay, so now support. Did I mention that already? The support level is at 1.29, resistance is at 1.55. Pepsi has been moving sideways since November last year. Okay, so it might just continue to trade the range based on its historical behavior. I think Pepsi will just continue to trade the range 1.29 to 1.55. Okay, there you go. And if for the net foreign trade 2019 year to date, obviously it's net foreign selling. Okay, MACD is bearish and Pepsi has a low risk level. Again, not because you heard me say it has a low risk level, don't make it automatic to just buy any low risk stock. Okay, this is an example of a low risk stock that you should avoid. Okay, okay, there you go. Let's check before I talk about my overall sentiment and recommended plans for Pepsi. Today, PIP closed at 1.36, and the range that got the biggest volume is between 1.34 to 1.38. Again, 1.34, 1.38. Okay, so it also got a net foreign selling worth 7.5 million pesos today. My overall sentiment on Pepsi is actually bearish. PIP stands for Pepsi, not personal improvement plan. I think based on how Pepsi looks like on the charts in 2013, I think it needs a personal improvement plan. Okay, so there you go. Uh, if the price breaks below, yeah, that's interesting. Let's see. What if the price breaks below 1.29? What will be the historical support for PIP then? I think it's no longer it's not even interesting to talk about anymore. It's at 0.64. Okay, imagine that, from 6.5 all the way to 0.64, or at 1.36 at its closing price. Okay, there you go for Pepsi. It's a bearish, and my recommended trade setup is to avoid it for now. Avoid it for now. There are 200 plus stocks listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange that you can actually take a look at, and not just Pepsi. Okay, so there you go for today's top five, for the last top five gainers and top five losers video analysis. This is our last video for the week. So just to wrap this up, we have discussed PNB, IMI, TUGS, VUL, MRSGI, SM, BHI, CHP, PXP, and finally PIP. Okay. By the way, I'd like to introduce to you our Equitalks programs. On a daily basis, I pick just one, okay, just one, not this kind of video that I produced today. In the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers, I'm talking about 10 stocks, but on a daily basis, I have this Equitalks podcast. You can watch my analysis for one stock on our YouTube channel, or you can go straight to our SoundCloud account. So take a look at Learn, take a look at Equitalks video. If you want, if you are a visual learner, you go to video. If you are an auditory learner, you go to audio. It's SoundCloud. So you can listen to that while you're driving or while you're sitting in taxi on your way home. Or if you love reading, you can read the summary on or the case notes inside the Equitalks note page. So we have three versions for the exact same content. It's a free one, by the way. You don't have to pay extra for this. We have the video, we have the audio, and we have the case notes or summary. Okay? Okay, kindly follow us on our YouTube channel. You click on Equitalks video, then click on those videos, like follow our channel, follow our podcast on SoundCloud, and please share these videos and our podcasts from SoundCloud as well, if you find them helpful. Okay, I do hope you do. Okay, so again, my name is JZ De Guzman, and you've just heard our last top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis video for this week. Have a restful weekend and see you again Monday.